There we go. Thank you guys for reminding me of that. We start exactly on time. I don't have too much to tell you guys tonight. Marilyn's not with us. So on April 12th, which is Sunday, if you like all of the movie and Broadway things, Emmanuel Abramovitz will actually be at the library in person at 2:30, and he'll be discussing Beyond the Airwaves. Then on Monday, the 13th, I'm sure you saw that we have that. I'm not sure if she's a concerto. I don't actually totally understand that, but the violinist will be there at the library at 3 o'clock. So that sounds like a wonderful
Hmm.
program. We'll still get into that. Don't forget that on Tuesday, the 14th, we will be doing Cinema Paradiso, which is in downtown Hollywood. You get your parking and we get a discount on the tickets. And I know I'm not going to say this right, but the name of the movie is Miroirs #3. Is that right, Shelley? Do you know that?
Yes, Miroir
Miroir.
number three.
Oh, good.
Miroir number three.
And then on Tuesday, the 21st, Linda Levin will be at the library looking for Jane. So, I mean, there's more, but you guys can check out our website and see the calendar. And this was an exciting and very interesting movie, so I'm sure we'll have a lot to talk about. So we'll turn it over to Shelley.
Thank you, Jackie. Good evening, everybody. I hope you're all having or had a nice holiday.
You
Welcome
too?
back. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome back. It's nice to see everyone. Okay, so tonight it's the last suit. Well, this month, the theme for me is it's Holocaust Remembrance Month, as Holocaust Remembrance is always, but they always signify this month. And I thought I would do two films. I'm doing sort of in the opposite direction. We're dealing with post Holocaust first, and then the Holocaust in 2 weeks. But the last suit is from 2017, so it is to me a recent film. It was directed by a young man. His name is Pablo Solars. This was his second film, and he was inspired to do it because he had a grandfather that had sort of had a personality uh, much like Abraham's in the film, except worse. Except worse. He hated Poland. He hated to talk about Poland. He wasn't going back to Poland, and he had all he had were bad things to say. But he said them in a funny way, as Pablo said, got a sense of humor from him, and decided to tell the story. And it's, both the journey, what we would call a journey through space and time, and it's a reckoning with time. As we explore and as we explore the cinema of the Holocaust, which is always interesting, it is equally critical to examine the portrayal of the post Holocaust experience in global culture, which I feel is more important today. We live in a moment where the voices of those who survived the ghettos, the camps, those old enough to bear witness at the time, old enough to bear witness and understand what was happening, are diminishing. Memory has allowed a kind of cultural amnesia, as I call it, to set in. And I'm being kind with the cultural amnesia, contributing not just to the rise of the far right in modern Europe. It's also it's attributable to ignorance, denial, or a kind of historical blindness, if you will. Filmed in four countries on two continents, The Last Suit functions as a classic road movie, but one with deep emotional stakes. Like any good road movie, our protagonist sets out on a mission, encountering people along the way who transform him and who may be transformed by him. As we've seen, the journey starts in his home. We said I'll discuss the prologue in a little while, but we see him negotiating with his granddaughter to sit in a picture with the family, and he's going back and forth, and she gets the best of him, and he says that this is why I love you. You're my favorite, he says, because of the way she cheats him out of money. And then we find out that his daughters are putting him in a retirement home where he doesn't want to go. and he doesn't, and he has a bad leg, which he calls psoas. I think you all know what psoas is. If anybody doesn't know what it is, it'll come up again. Anyway, he decides that he doesn't want to go, and his housekeeper takes out the suit, which he sees, and this is what spurs in him his mission. He is going to take that suit with him to Europe to pay a debt, to pay what he considers a debt, or actually a gift at this point. But anyway, it really starts when he goes to that crazy warehouse, which I got to tell you, that was out of nowhere. That warehouse in the middle of the night, they're having acting lessons in one room, and then he's got a travel agent in another room that's negotiating. He's negotiating with to get to Poland one way, but he buys a two-way ticket, which has some significance a few minutes later. Anyway, it all begins with Leo when he gets on the plane, or Leopold when he gets on the plane, who's just sitting in his seat and reading a magazine. And Abraham manages to talk him. He's maneuvering him psychologically to talk him out of his seat. And the guy just moves and he takes Cyrus and stretches out on the seat. He wangled to get the whole three seats for himself. But upon landing in Spain, he winds up giving Leo his ticket after he has an encounter with the customs agent, whatever they are, who want to deny him entry because he doesn't have a return ticket, and he lies to them, and they finally let him go after he has a tete-a-tete with them. And he winds up, Leo is now waiting to go because he doesn't have a return ticket. And they won't let him go home to his wife and child. And he winds up rewarding Leo with the return ticket, giving him a chance to go home. Also signaling that Abraham has no intention of looking back. Abraham has no intention of looking back. In Madrid, he encounters Maria Gonzalez, or I should say, first she's just Gonzalez. We learn her first name later on. She is the radiant hotel manager who he tries to cajole into getting a room for a lot less money. And she takes a liking to him, invites him out, offering him a respite after he misses his train, a respite of joy, as would do when he goes to that club. However, when his hotel room is burglarized and all his money is gone, with Leo's help, he has to do something he really wasn't looking forward to, reuniting with his daughter, Claudia. Abraham had previously rejected Claudia, leaving her out of his will because she wouldn't join her other sisters in giving him a hollow promise, what she called a hollow promise of love. She was the only honest one who insisted that love is shown through how one acts, how one behaves. The revelation that Claudia has his camp number tattooed on her arm is a piercing moment when he stares at it. No words has to be said, but obviously she had voluntarily inherited the weight of his history through her own actions. Through her own actions, she bore his weight. The closer he gets to Lodz, the more the film reminds us why Abraham dreads this trip so much. Back at the airport, relating back to the airport, when officials threatened to deny him entry, he asked them point blank, "Do you know the history? What happened to the Jews in Europe?" And they look at him a little blankly, one of them, but one, just stares at him. It's a moment where the script pauses its dramatic momentum to force us to confront the unvarnished truth. It's not so much for us, but for people who probably wouldn't see the film, the unvarnished truth of what happened. This continues during his encounter in Paris, where he desperately asks if there's any way to reach Poland without going through Germany. We all know the answer. We also know that there are those who don't want to confront that truth. This is where Ingrid steps in. An anthropologist by profession, She can be seen as a guardian of memory. She speaks French to the ticket agents and Yiddish to Abraham, bridging the linguistic and historical divide. He's not happy when he learns she's not Jewish and that she's German, and initially rejects our help. But on the train ride, she becomes the ally who truly understands his trauma when he tells her the story, solving the logistical crisis. And she solves the logistical crisis with a miracle to help him avoid stepping foot on German soil. Uh, Finally, there is the nurse Scotia, who provides the critical news that although they wanted to amputate his leg, surgeon objected, and they saved Cyrus, which has been his constant painful companion. And Gosia becomes his final savior, physically delivering him to Lodz to find Priotek. The emotional engine of the film lies in the flashbacks to Abraham's remembrances. We see, in the prologue, we see the dancing, the klezmer music. It's out of time. It's out of place. It's just alone. And then we start to learn what it means. Essentially, we're traveling into Abraham's mind and memory. The little girl who tells the tale was his sister, obviously, when we learn about his story. But we see that the horror of his return after the war, stumbling back to his childhood home, only to be turned away violently by Priotek's father. But it was Priotek who fought his own father to protect Abraham, nursing him back to health. The suit Abraham carries is the physical manifestation of a 7-decade promise, a shroud of gratitude for the man who risked everything to be kind. From the vibrant klezmer score in the pre-credit sequence to the cinematography that transitions from the warmth of Argentina to the haunted landscapes of the East, every element reinforces what I call the 3 R's: the resonance of the debt to Priotek, the relevance of Abraham's traumatic geography and journey, the revelation that love is not found in words, but in the actions of those who are brave and kind. Miguel Angel Sola, who plays Abraham Bernstein, is a titan of Argentine cinema and also theater as well, with a career spanning decades. And he's not as old as Abraham is in the film. He had to undergo 4 hours every day of filming of makeup to age him like that. He's widely considered one of the most versatile actors in the Spanish-speaking world, known for his ability to convey deep internal conflict and vulnerability, which he does so here. One of the gems of the film is Angela Molina. She plays Maria Gonzalez. She is an icon of international cinema, one of the most recognizable faces in Spanish film, as well as international film. She's worked with legendary directors Luis Buñuel in This Obscure Object of Desire, a classic film, and Pedro Almodovar. She brings an earthy, sophisticated dignity to the role of Maria Gonzalez. Natalia Verbecki, who plays Claudia, is an established star in both Spanish and Argentine film and television. She also is known for bringing a realistic emotional intelligence to her roles, which is perfectly utilized here as the daughter who prioritizes honest action over empty words. Julia Berhold, who plays Ingrid, is also a German actress who has worked extensively in European television and film. Performance as an anthropologist, Ingrid requires that delicate balance of scholarship and empathy as she bridges the gap between Abraham's traumatic past and the modern present. And finally, Olga Bolad, who plays Gosia, is a highly regarded Polish actress known for her range in both dramatic and action roles in her native country. As Gosha, she serves as the final human link that allows Abraham to complete his physical and emotional journey to find Priyotek. But by the way, I have to mention Martin Proyansky, who plays Leo, is a well-known Argentine actor, director, and screenwriter, and has comic roots. He represents the younger generation in the film, providing the necessary counterpoint to Abraham's cantankerous nature. And Jan Mizell, who plays Priotek, doesn't have much dialogue, but has a presence in the film as a veteran Polish actor who provides the silent, profound weight necessary for Abraham's arrival. The reason I mention those is because Solarz went to the trouble to find actors in each of these places who are standouts and would be recognized in each of their cultures, which is interesting to me when seeing this kind of film. We have to reflect on our own present circumstances. We are witnessing a disturbing rise today in anti-Semitism and an intense polarization in our own country. And films like The Last Suit and those from other cultures are essential because they confront the modern reality head on. As Abraham ventures closer to his mission, traveling through the territory he once fled, the shadows of the past stretch out long arms to reach in for him. In a time of such global unrest, and this is the way I look at it, we should hope that we can be like the people who helped Abraham, encapsulating the best of humanity and the necessity of mutual understanding. This is important lesson in the film. I know that critics have criticized it, for it has its maudlin turns. But I thought it was an interesting film, an interesting use of the suit as the symbol of return, something fitting, as you will, and his story. The music in the film, outside of the klezmer music, is also very moving, and I thought the final moments of the film were really, really well done in terms of him finally coming home, and seeing that Priyotek himself had also become a tailor, in a sense, sitting there behind the window in his home. But it is it's a road movie, and each of the people that he does come in contact with has an effect on him. It mellows him a little bit. I mean, he's so cantankerous at the beginning, and he does mellow along the way, but we see why he is the way he is. And I thought he made an interesting character who took us along on this ride. So this is my take on the film. It was a standout in a lot of festivals, as you can imagine. It did win a number of awards, and I hope you enjoyed it or appreciated it. And I want to hear how you felt about it. So, who wants to jump in first? There's so many of you. Come on, there's got to be one among you who wants to break the ice. Sandra Fuss, thank you. Go ahead.
So I found it interesting that he was such a cantankerous person. He couldn't get along with any of his family, and they're ready to throw him wherever. And yet, when he meets these women, somehow he wins them over. How does he do that? Somehow they all want to help him, even Leo and all the three women. What is there about him that makes them want to help him like that? I found that kind of interesting.
That's a good question. And what did you think?
What did I think? I wasn't sure. Like his daughter Claudia wouldn't give him the time of day, wouldn't let him meet his granddaughter, and yet the German woman was ready to lay out her clothes so he wouldn't have to walk on German soil. So I don't know whether that was kind of off or something. And yet all these women, the nurse in the hospital, what was her name? The last one,
Gosha.
Gosha. She was ready to take him. It was interesting.
Yeah.
I found that
Yeah.
kind of odd, but anyways.
Well, they were, he's this little old guy, and he is cantankerous. Maybe he reminds them of of their own grandfathers, or
Yeah.
their own, of someone in their family. Something in him resonated with them, at first,
Yeah,
and as they learn his story.
I really liked the movie. I really enjoyed it. And I feel badly that sometimes young people or children don't have respect for their parents just because they're aging. They don't feel that they can make up their own minds or decide what they want to do or where they want to live. And he had to do this mission on his own. So I enjoyed it. Thank you.
I just want to add, Sandra,
Yeah.
I just wanted to state, there's that saying, you can choose your friends, but not your family. Okay. It boils down to that in a way with complete strangers. Okay. And being that he looked so old and decrepit at some point, people felt for him. They really did. We just knew how to win them over, just like the gentleman reading the magazine in the airplane.
Yeah.
He got what he wanted. He knew how to manipulate. That's also what kept him alive in the camps as well. That's why he went as far as he did, knock on wood. But I did find it a very poignant film, very, very poignant. And when the anthropologist, I think that's, or archaeologist, what was she? Anthropologist.
Yeah, Ingrid.
Yeah, I thought that scene where he's sitting there with his sneakers off and she goes and puts them back on because it's time. Now, I want to share, I'm a Holocaust survivor. Okay. I did not want to go to Germany many years ago. My husband insisted. Okay. My whole personality changed. Couldn't wait to leave. However, I do want to state that if I meet people, strangers, and I hear a German accent, I want to practice my German. Yet if I hear a very heavy, heavy German accent, I want to steer away from it. So there's mixed emotions that he had along the way as well. So I can understand this film showing how people were there to help him and also alleviate his mind. He needed that as well. And maybe these strangers needed him indirectly also. It works both ways. I absolutely enjoyed the film. I needed a whole box of tissues at the end. It was phenomenal. Thank you for sharing that. And I want you to know I saw it years ago and loved it even more now.
All right, thank you, Aulette. Okay, Karen?
Well, I was going to say a lot of what she said is that I think people were drawn to him because he was older and a little grumpy, but they looked over that and as time went by, he started to mellow because so many people were trying to help him, and I also enjoyed it very much. I thought it was very, very well done, and I loved the ending where he actually made it. I was thinking he's going to lose that suitcase. He's going to lose the suit somewhere with all that traveling around on different, having to go from the plane to the train and then get off and take a taxi to another train and that sort of thing. But in the end, I thought it was wonderful that they were actually, and then when their eyes met, when he was looking, when they decided that he wasn't there, and then he said, "Look down there." Then their eyes meet, and that was I thought a wonderful scene.
It was.
Terrific. Thank you. Jackie?
Well, I also was going to say pretty much what everybody else just said. We thoroughly enjoyed it. And having dealt with with particularly one parent who was very difficult, but everybody else loved him. I can understand. I mean, we get angry at the kids, and yet they're the ones that are dealing with him day in and day out. And they didn't actually know he wanted to go to Poland with that suit. She's the one that brought that out and showed it to him. So I think in many ways he did what his heart told him he needed to do, kind of left the kids out of it. I agree that I think that each person along the way mellowed him, and I love that. And honestly, I think what it showed him is that we really are all in this together, and not every person is the same. So especially the German girl, I absolutely loved her. It shows that just because you're this person or you have this background doesn't make you like all of the rest of the people that this person remembered. And I thought that was quite an awakening for him. So we really enjoyed it. We actually thought that the guy was not going to be alive when he got to Poland. So I don't care what anybody says. I liked the Hollywood ending where he
Me
found
too.
a friend. I loved it. I thought that was great.
Well,
Thanks, Shelly.
that's terrific. It's a pleasure. It's, you know, it is, because it's about tolerance. It's about understanding. You know, you know, he talks about his grandfather, the director Pablo Solar's talked about. He said, but it's not just his grandfather. He said nobody would talk about it. You know, growing up, nobody wanted to talk about it. Nobody wanted to deal with it. They only had unkind words to say about Poland, about Germany. They wouldn't really, you know, and he kept wanting to know why. And as he grew up and he started to watch film and become interested in becoming a filmmaker, he started to understand it culturally through film and seeing different movies, and also reading about different filmmakers from these places and what they did to resist, or what they did to make films critical of the period and understanding the period. So he really does incorporate it into his story. And I think his techniques were very interesting, and how he deals with Abraham's past by showing, you know, essentially this group of people, his family, the little girl telling the story, and it's him obviously coming to kiss her at the end of the story, and then finally his trek out and coming home. You know, nobody, you know, again, as I said at the beginning, you know, there is a cultural amnesia going on in certain parts of the world. And here we see it by the people who are standing in the street when he's coming back. Nobody wants to look at him. Nobody wants to acknowledge him. It's that kind of, you know, that's what he's trying to impress on the audience, is people look away, whether in fear, whether, you know, I don't want to believe it, I don't want to deal with it. And or you have, again, the rise of the right in Europe, which brings it up again, and the rise of anti-Semitism here as well. So you get that. Jean.
Hey, Shelly.
Hi.
Hey, Francis. Hey, Phyllis. Shouting out to the other gang.
Yeah.
First of all, I want to say a couple of things about the film, which Steve and I really loved as a film, and as and the way that it relates itself to other theater and films. First of all, there's the King Lear reference.
Yeah.
That his youngest daughter is the one that he disinherits because, like Cordelia, she won't say "I love you." What do the two older daughters, the Regan and Goneril of the story, do? They steal his home.
Money, yeah.
Yeah, they take away his home. They want to put him in the old folks' home.
Right.
So that, I mean, that was like there. And in fact, we were kind of waiting for his moment of madness, and happily it didn't come. But I suppose you can relate Leo to the Fool. I mean, if you want to push it that far. But the other film we thought of too is the Polish film Ida. A young Polish woman who discovers she's Jewish, and just before she becomes a nun, meets her aunt for the first time, and the aunt commits suicide, and then Ida instead of embracing her Judaism, goes back to the nunnery.
Mhm.
And it occurred to me for the first time, I've always been so angry at that film for its ending because she's Jewish and she didn't own up. She didn't keep, but
Well,
now,
I'll have something to say about that in a minute, but go
Right.
ahead, finish your statement.
I know you disagreed with that.
I'll tell you why. Go ahead.
But seeing this film made me realize that there's this contrast between the two of them, that Ida is really about the final extermination of Jews from Poland. It's sort of like the last two die.
Mhm.
In a sense, because Ida dies. You know, when you go into a convent and you give up everything just to be obedient to Jesus, you're gone. So so you know, there's this film which is about what Poland did to the Jews. It killed us, all of us, and then at least from Poland. And then in contrast, there's this lovely little film about a Jew who goes home to Poland. And Steve reminded me that the last three words of the film are "Let's go home."
Go home.
So, so that made me feel differently about Ida. You will be happy to hear.
About the three women.
Well, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about Ida first, and then I will something else entirely
Okay.
different?
Well, you know, as long as we're comparing two films, you know, it's which is an unlikely comparison, only because the two stories are really out here. But it's interesting that you do bring it up. But you know, first of all, it's her aunt who is Jewish, who she learns about, and I think we've done the film in this with Stirling as well. But you know, her aunt wanted to be, and you're right about the idea of what Poland was doing, what the communist regime did, what history did to her aunt. Okay, whereas she'd rather be with the dead than the living. She'd rather be with the dead than the living, and that's what she decides to do because there's nothing left for her on the planet, so to speak. And then it's not so much that Ida is rejecting Judaism because she didn't know what Judaism was until she was introduced to her aunt. And her aunt didn't really so much educate her on being Jewish and what it meant. All she saw from her aunt was death and the loss of family, the burial of the child, and that's all she saw. And I think she just said, you know, she didn't want to. He named his leg Cirrus. Okay, it's trouble, it's woe, it's all the pain of the world is in that leg. I mean, that's the symbolic meaning of the leg, and what he carried from the Holocaust. And when she saw this world, she saw the material world, even though she made love, and you know, she didn't want to be part of that. She said, "I don't want that. I don't want it." She never knew what it was, and she saw only bad as far as she was concerned. So she wanted to go back. Yes, I mean, in one way you could look at it is she's closing herself off from life, closing herself. I wouldn't say she's dead, but she's closing herself off from life, from the life outside, and maybe that's what, you know, some people would do naturally, but it is symbolic of just
Yeah.
what you're saying. I agree with you. I don't disagree with you. It is symbolic of what you were saying. But here, there is the idea that people aren't closing his eyes to him. They're opening their eyes to him. They're seeing this man. He may be an old man who needs help, but when they learn his story, it becomes that much more important. It's, you know, he carries a lot of weight. And especially for Ingrid. I thought Ingrid was a pivotal character in the film because she's holding all that weight. She speaks Yiddish. She speaks five to six different languages. She said she's an anthropologist. And she's German, and she's a guardian of the past, a past that she knows he went through, and now comes in contact with him. I love the definite the allusion to King Lear. She is Cordelia, definitely. I don't, Leo is part fool, but he also is the one that urges him to go back to Cordelia, to go back to Claudia, Cordelia. Interesting. But he urges him, you have to, what do you mean you didn't talk to her when he comes back to the car? He says, I can't. He says, get out there. You got to talk to her. And he does. But I thought that, to me, I thought it was so that conversation so well done when you see the tattoo on her arm, that she put his numbers on her arm, and he sees that and he realizes that just what she said, it's her actions. It's her actions. She didn't need words to show her love. She carried him with her. And I thought that was terrific. But yeah, I mean, it's great that I'm so glad you talked about the film this way. It's terrific. And I thank you. What else did you have to say? You got it. Yeah.
You are very welcome. Trying to keep up with you, Shelly. The other thing I wanted to talk about was the three women who help him.
Oh yeah.
I think Steve and I are both still trying to figure out exactly what it means, but Susan is here. I'll bet you can figure it out for us, Susan. The three women. It's got to be some sort of symbol, right? It's got to be, he in three different cities, three different countries actually. He's helped by three young women.
I would like
None
to
of whom knew him before, and they're each very, very important to getting him to move. Well, four if you count Maria Gonzalez, actually, but
No. I lost you.
Who are you talking to? Susan Pauls? Jean? Which Susan were you talking to? Yes, I guess
Susan Pauls.
Yeah. Well, we'll let her weigh in. Susan?
Lucky me.
Yeah.
I never thought about it. My first thought is faith, hope, and charity.
Interesting.
The last one was
I like
hope.
that.
I don't know. I mean, that's the only
That's a nice interpretation.
Yeah.
Well, I think if you ask the director, Gene, if you ask Pablo Solars, he would probably say, "Well, what do you think?" A director would say, "What do you think?"
Right.
I think it has to do with mothering in a way. Women as lover, women as guide, woman as daughter. There are three stages of women. In a sense, one is a nurse, one is an anthropologist. They are the Furies in the film. What can I tell you?
I don't know. Since I'm on and I have my hand raised, I have one question which I'm not sure of plot wise. Was his leg fixed in Warsaw?
Yes. It wasn't fixed. They operated. One surgeon felt they wanted it. They all wanted to take it off, and she said one doctor objected. He had a way of fixing it. Yeah.
So, all right. Two things I wanted to say. One is you were talking about how he could manipulate all these people into doing all these things for him, including the guy on the plane and the ticket person and customs and everybody. He apparently, living in Argentina all these years, has picked up the Spanish macho charm thing, where he, was the head of the household and his daughter has had to behave in a certain way. And I'm sure his wife did as well. but he had that kind of, I don't know how to describe it, that charm, like Omar Sharif, like some men who are not necessarily Rock Hudson, have this twinkle in their eye and this sexual energy. And I think, in spite of all the makeup and the aging, he had it.
Mhm.
That look in
Mhm.
the eye, like, hey, baby. And the other thing was that one of the things that transformed him to a certain extent was that the fact that his psoas was over, his pain in his leg was over in Warsaw,
Yeah,
in
interesting.
Poland.
That is an interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. From
So,
where, well, it's he gets up out of the chair at the end, because she's wheeling him in the wheelchair. He gets up and he goes to find him,
yeah.
to find Priyatek. So yes, that is interesting.
But as for the
That,
three women, it's what a
Yeah.
wonderful thing to ask me. I'm very honored. Thank you.
well,
Can I ask you?
he had three daughters. He had three daughters in Europe. I mean, there's so many ways of looking at this. There's so many
Can,
ways of looking at this. Yes, go ahead, Bobby.
okay. Right now, it's very interesting because all of a sudden, in my old age, and I am old, and I have a walker that I only use occasionally, but people look and they want to help you. They want to open doors for you. They want to help you put on your coat. I mean, these are all the things I can do myself, but it's just a thing if they're a decent person. Now I'm in Marblehead for good now, and I'm at my temple, and they've stuck me in charge of a movie group in the a golden age group, just what I need. And I've shown a couple of the movies, and I would love to show this. This movie to me was everything wonderful that everybody has said. I'm not going to repeat because I agree with just about everything. It was just, I thought, just an absolutely marvelous movie. And I'm in book groups also. And the comment was this week in one of the book groups, I'm sick of reading Holocaust movies. I'm sick of reading Holocaust books and seeing Holocaust movies. And I said, well, I've got one I really want to show. Okay. We'll see what happens with it if they'll watch it. Um, because what has happened is everybody is dying that remembers it. And the
Mhm.
kids learn nothing these days, unfortunately. It's like, how do you feel about the First World War? I mean, it's the way they are feeling about the Holocaust. It's the same thing. We weren't born then. We hear about it. Some of us read about it in history classes, whatever. But are we completely knowledgeable? And do we really give a damn about it for the most part? So think about
Uh,
this generation coming up. And we can use everything we can for the kids and the next generation, if they're not learning stuff in school, to know more about it, where people who did know or were alive during this era are going, not just the people that are survivors, but people that were alive during this time that remember things. So I'm all for the movie. We just watched something called The Swedish Connection on Netflix.
yeah.
And did you see it? I,
Yes, I did.
and you saw how you know, there was some of the lines were similar. Some of the
Yeah,
things that happened were similar.
but that is truly a Holocaust film.
That
This
was.
is this to me, this I guess a genre, if you want to call it that,
Right.
of post-Holocaust, to me is much more important.
Agreed.
uh and that's how you approach it with them. Tell them this is not a Holocaust film.
I
This
did.
is, yeah, it's a no, it's a it's a post-Holocaust
Yeah.
film,
Right.
and it's dealing with contemporary times, and it's a reflection. And just the way you just told it so eloquently about young people, they don't understand. There is a certain, I would call it ignorance, blindness, or just not being taught. But there is an amount of young people who aren't looking at these things and understanding.
Right.
Look, when the war was over, it's very understandable. When the war was over, those who did survive didn't talk about it
They
for a
didn't.
long time, and their children heard screams at night. The parents were dealing with nightmares, and they heard the screams, they heard those things, but they never got the story. And finally, when they did get the story, it was later on, and then their children they told the stories to. And those are the ones that grew up retelling those stories and making the films. It's basically our generation that is wanting to spread the word and wanting to say this is what happened and dig deeper into it. It's much easier for filmmakers. When filmmakers zero in, when you tell one story, you're telling 6 million stories.
Yeah.
That's the way they look at it. So it's a very difficult subject. But when you deal with it in a post-Holocaust fashion, I think it's much easier to reflect on it and to understand it.
I also think that, and this is something else again, because, my temple, I have a 36-year-old rabbi who's going to take care of the world. She's wonderful. But when you've lived as long as I have, you realize I don't think really that human nature has changed for the last 4,000 years. We have good people, we have bad people, we have people in between that want to learn. I'm going to be 89, and I really feel that people haven't changed. Kind people are kind people, and there are many kind people that were Germans at the time, that not, I don't know how many, but there were, and afterwards. And that's what I have to say about the whole thing. The movie was wonderful. I hope to God we can get a good, turnout for it.
Well, yeah, I think you should. I think you should. Thank you. And thank you. Phyllis.
Yes, hi. So let's see, I want to weigh in on the Ida film because I have some strong feelings about that. And what film resonates for me with Ida is Phoenix, because in Phoenix, the main character does not want to learn anything from the Holocaust. She wants to erase it and go back to her old life, to the husband who turned her into the Nazis. And her colleague is looking at these dead bodies in graves and trying to see who survived and who died. And she was so immersed in that horrible thing every day when she realized that, was it Nina? I forget who the main character's name was, didn't want to move on from the Holocaust. She wanted to go back. Then what was the point of living? I mean, if the Jews learn nothing at all and they're forgiving the perpetrators and just trying to return to their old lives rather than creating a new life, they want to resurrect and restore the old life. There's no learning. I mean,
Let me just interrupt for a second, because remember the end of the film. The end of the film, she has learned.
Finally,
she learned. And she's moving forward. She's moving forward.
Exactly. That was brilliant, and I thought that was one of the most important cinematic moments, because you just see it on his face that he suddenly realizes
who she is. But she realizes who they are.
Right, and then she leaves it all behind and moves into her future, probably in Israel.
But I think the key is, which is interesting, what you said is her cousin also, decides, takes her own life the same way the aunt did.
Right.
And Ida, it's the same thing. So this was, two different directors, one Polish or Polish English, and the other one German, using the same ideas in their stories. To me, there's the universality. There is, just what you're saying, just what Gene said. It's all of those things, but these directors have taken those things and distilled them into their films. And they are the story of, they are the story, they are the contradictions of the Jews, of what, what does the Holocaust represent? For some, yes, I want to erase it from my mind. For others, I want to embrace it. For others, it's so there are so many contradictions involved to delve into.
So, okay, now to this film. So I guess I'm the cynical. I mean, I just felt all these women. I didn't see him as a very sympathetic character. He was gruff. He was rude. He was, messy. But you needed all these characters to move the plot forward and to get
Right.
him to where he needed to go. I thought his family taking away his home and casting him out into another place was almost a replay of the Holocaust in a way. He was going to go to this old age home to die. And here, you know, he has to relive this awful experience again. So that was great. And I love how he had the word Poland written on a piece of paper because it's a dirty word and you don't
Right.
say that word. And my dad came from Poland when he was 8 years old, way before the Holocaust. But he, the same way, if all you had to do is say the word Poland, and you know that would set him off. So I can totally understand. I thought it was very kind of Mrs. Gonzalez to he was determined not to go on German soil, to set foot on German soil. And when we took a cruise once at the Baltic cruise, and my husband said, Germany? We're going to Germany. And, you know, but we went to Berlin. It's wonderful, really. It is wonderful. But how kind she was to lay out the clothing on the train platform so he wouldn't have to actually, it's not symbolically, you know, set foot in Germany. So I thought that was very kind. I thought the ending was pretty predictable. It was very satisfying to see him reunite with the guy once you saw him saving him in the beginning. And it was interesting too that you saw his leg had been injured in the concentration camps because he was limping when he came back. And that lasted with him through his whole life. So, you know, it was a mark of the Holocaust that never left him. Very vivid.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I have to say, I think.
No, it's true. No.
Right.
I'm glad you brought up Phoenix. I mean, you brought in some really interesting things. What I'm liking and what I'm hearing from everybody is you all have a take on the movie. And that's the resonance I always look for is you found a relevance, you found something in the movie to relate to compare to. And I think that's the most important thing we can pull out of the film. You know, this is not what I do is not about criticism. It's about talking about the merits of film. And this film has a lot of merit in it, you know, in its telling. So I'm glad. I'm very happy with the way you're all reacting to this. Barbara.
I was stunned by the performers that I had never heard of. I'm thinking, oh my God, how could these people be so good? And never in my life have I seen them in a movie before. And I loved the sly reference to King Lear. And even though it was predictable and like a little couple of spots were like overly sentimental, I was just sucked right up into that ending. When he met him, I was just there. Even, you know, I just forgave it all. But that Maria Gonzalez, I thought she was wonderful. The young man who was going to go back to Spain and sat next to him on a plane, and the star himself was marvelous.
Yes, he was.
I just like to look up what he's in and see what else, you know, I could see.
Yeah, well, you can go. I mean, you definitely, you know, this is where a website like IMDb, the International Movie Database, you go to that and you could put in the name of the film and it'll give you the cast and you could go through the cast. I mean, Angela Molina is definitely an icon of international cinema.
Why.
Yeah, I mean, she's done Italian, she's done Spanish, she's done American film. I mean, she's just a marvel.
I enjoy.
And she
also,
was a singer.
I
she was a
speak
singer.
Spanish, so it's always a little richer.
Yeah, that's terrific. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you. I'll get to you in a moment, Jean. I want to Francis.
Thank you for letting us see this, for allowing us the knowledge of this movie. So my first impression was the dancing, because I love dancing, and that stylistic horror. I have never be able to dance it that way, nor would I have ever seen it dance that way. It was almost like a tango, I imagine.
Part of it, yes.
Beautiful. So from that moment, I just loved it. And I said, this is going to be a gift to us. Then the other thing that I loved a lot of things. One of the things that he said was, there were 60 of us and we were happy, but we did not know it. And it's so true. We have moments in our lives where we're all together and we're deliciously happy, but we don't appreciate it. So I think we have to take things as they come and appreciate each moment that is given to us. I won't go into the women because I think everybody has explained the women, and I thank you so much for the hope and charity. And what was the third one that you said?
Faith, hope,
Yeah,
and charity.
faith, because it didn't even come into my mind, because maybe I'm not as well read, but that's a great explanation of the women. The the thing about his leg, he had insufficiency, arterial insufficiency, and probably venous insufficiency. And what I thought was, when he went to Warsaw, and the doctors were yelling, and I thought maybe the doctor that yelled the loudest was a Jewish doctor, and maybe he saved his leg. I wasn't sure because it was a Polish name, but I thought, wouldn't that be great if that's what happened? That the Germans screwed his leg and a Jew fixed it. That I don't know. Of course, that's just my flight of fancy. But I thought that would be great. So I thought this movie gave us a lot to think about, how we would react. I have been to Germany many times, and I thought, I don't think I want to do this, but I did it anyway. Maybe I should have walked on towels or something else. I wouldn't step on that soil. But, I didn't think about that. But thank you so much. And thanks to everybody who's said something about this movie and made me smarter. I thank you from the bottom of my heart and my brain. Thank you.
Oh, that's very nice. Thank you, Francis. You brought up, the beginning, and Jean, before you go on, that's the theatricality of the film. I thought it was wonderful. It also is a kind of Chekhov device, because it's so disembodied from the rest of the film once we begin the film, and only comes back to us later when we see his little sister telling the story, and we understand what that is. Because when we see him first, it's as if he's waking up out of a dream, and that was the dream. His family is together, they're dancing, they're enjoying the music. I mean, it has, nods to fiddler, nods to tradition, to, the feelings of when we were together, the shtetl, however you want to look at it. But it's history. It's that history that he's going back to in his mind, and now is forcing him to finally find closure, which is his trip. But and we get snippets of it along the way, and it becomes more understandable. And I thought it was a great device to show us where is his mind. He was very well. He wasn't going mad. He was actually guided by his own dreams. They weren't nightmares; they were dreams, except for his coming home. That originally when he was leaving the camps, but he was also coming home to someone who saved him. Priotek, who saved him, was his friend. And it says, not everybody is evil. Not everybody, and we look at Poland. Yes, Poland was probably anti-Semitic before the Nazis came in, but the Nazis gave him permission to really open up about it, just the way he gave the Germans permission to do it. That's what we have to think of. This is, I don't want to reflect on that too much, but that's where we're going. Anyway, but thank you, Francis. Before I get to you, Aulette, I promise Jean, go ahead.
I'll be quick this time. I just wanted to thank.
That's all right.
I just wanted to thank everybody because all these wonderful explanations and thoughts about the film, I've realized one of the really that post-Holocaust movies have a really important role to play, Bobby. You know, what you were saying about what I was thinking from what you were saying was what they are doing is saying, what do we as Jews do? What do we become after the Holocaust? What do we have that make us? And how do we put it aside and move on? Or how do we live with it and move on?
Yeah, I mean, that's an important question because there's more than one answer.
And these films give more than one answer.
Exactly, but it's was it Adorno who said there's no more poetry after the Holocaust. Each one philosophizes, each one has an answer. Where's God? All of these are questions we ask as Jews. We ask these questions, and you brought it up, and it's the fact that everybody has their own answer. There are so many answers. Or at least attempts at answers. But thank you. Okay, Arlette. Okay, don't get excited. Go ahead.
Who are you talking to?
Arlette has her hand up, and then
Okay.
you, Bobby.
Okay.
You, regarding to the woman that just spoke about after, post Holocaust, okay, because my family was in the Holocaust. There's something called survival of the fittest. Some have stronger survival instincts to continue to really dig into their Jewishness, into their tradition, to procreate and have lots of children and move on. There are others that have taken their lives, and there are others that are just meek and mire and cannot go on. It's like society. But post-Holocaust is something that really should be brought about more into relevance, into our being, to know what they had, or I should say did not have, when it was over. Okay, but I had a question for Shelly and maybe somebody else, because I don't want to see the movie a third time.
Why not?
Because I have other movies to see. When Ingrid was on the train with him, with Abraham, she kind of, I forget how she said it, she apologized for what the Jews had done, or I don't know how she put it, but like I met a journalist that said there's a black cloud over Germany for decades and centuries to come. I forgot what she said to him in that essence of like, I'm sorry. I don't recall, and I don't want to go through 3/4 of the movie to find it. I thought maybe you would recollect.
No, I don't recollect exactly what she said, but it wasn't. I don't think it was. It was framed more in an understanding of who he is and what has happened. Again, it's the idea that we've grown. She's grown. Didn't grow up in it. She learned about it. She doesn't understand why. So we try to understand why something like that happened. Don't forget, he has that nightmare of walking into the wrong car.
Yes.
Walking into the past, so to speak, on a train of all places. That he insisted on traveling. He travels by train itself. He's going back to Poland on a train. When he's in Paris, they said, how can I get there? How can I get here without having to go here? And they said, well, you could take a plane. But that's not how he was going. He went by train, but it's and to also address what you said. Yes, it's true. Look, as I said, there's many answers. There are those who didn't know they had that ability to survive, and after the war, they went on. There are those that were not religious at all, but they carried it with them. They would talk about it. They would lecture on it. But they had their own feelings about it.
Or they didn't talk about it like my family.
Maybe, yeah,
Yeah.
maybe, yeah. Wendy, and then Bobby.
I
Go
found
ahead.
this a very, very interesting film, and I like all the various thoughts that people had. But I want to say one thing. I survived the Holocaust. There were Germans in my apartment in Leopoldstadt. I know what it was like for people who lived through that hell. I have to say one thing. We Jewish people have survived 5,786 years,
Mhm.
and we will continue to survive. We have to be strong. We have to know our history, and we have to be proud of the human beings that we are and that what we have contributed to society. And you have to do that every single day. And you have to talk to your children, whoever you need to talk to, but you cannot let go the background you can't come from and what you've done for society. 5,786 years.
Right.
That's all I have to say.
That's all you have to say.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's all you have to say, Bobby, and then Francis. I thought you had your hand up
All
again.
right. I agree with her wholeheartedly. But my fear is, as a history major, if you look back, we started off, we were doing beautifully with the temple and whatever, it was in Israel at the time. And then we got very comfortable. And then we got defeated and we left and we went to Babylon, most of us, or wherever. And then everything was wonderful there after a while. And there was, we were into marriage, we were into this. And the next thing we knew, they threw us out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And we had to survive again. And then supposedly we were in Persia or wherever we were in the story of Queen Esther. Same thing. We were doing wonderful things and whatever, but we all became very, happy and whatever. And then boom, we got thrown out again and we had to survive again. And how many times has this happened during history? The Egypt, whatever, everywhere. So I'm worried for my children, my grandchildren, whatever. I just hope people will realize this, that we have to be very proud. We have to, be proud we're Jewish, be proud we're just alive, and thank God for whatever he's done for what we have every day of our life. And just keep going. That's all I can tell you. One of the rabbis said, and it's a gal who's the Korean American rabbi at the big temple in New York.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I know what you're talking about.
And her words were, in Judaism and everything you read, there were 3 Jewish answers. There's one rabbi had one answer, the second rabbi had another answer, and then they yelled, screamed, studied, and did whatever, and they came up with a third answer. And
well, there's 3 sides to every story.
That's right. And it's too bad. I mean, if we could get the rest of the world to do that, we'd be in a hell of a lot better shape than we're in right now.
Amen.
Amen.
And our women.
Yeah. Okay.
But I have a comment readdressing Gene why the women are important. It doesn't matter whether they're 3 or 1. It's the importance of women, okay, in his life, in all our lives, okay. It's just that's what it's about. Is the importance of a woman in a man's life, okay? They need guides. We need guidance, and you supply it.
Well said, Shelly.
We're little boys. Okay. Anybody else? Francis, did you have something? Oh, okay. Anybody else have anything before we close shop for the evening? I have to tell you, you set a record tonight. We've gone over longer than we ever have before. And I really appreciate it. I appreciate Jackie letting us do that. She's been very good at this.
As long as I don't get in trouble for it.
No, you won't get.
we'll
Believe
back
me, you
you
won't
up.
get in trouble for it. We've done this many times in other Zooms. But I will tell you, you all were terrific tonight. I'm so glad. I never know what a film is going to bring out of you, and I am really pleased by what this film brought out of you. There were 2 people that didn't weigh in that I was surprised at. Sandra, you didn't have anything to say? You got on mute.
I got called away. I'm Susan. I got called away by an
Oh,
important
I
family phone call, and
I
I missed the
unmuted.
whole
Can
thing.
you hear me, Shelley?
yeah.
Okay, Larry and I did have something to say, but for some reason you weren't seeing us. But
Oh, I'm sorry.
I think the big thing that we took away was this man had a mission, and the vehicle was a perfect vehicle. I think that his sister's story was incredible. And I think it was a motivating factor in moving the story forward with women. I think that the big thing for me was that he opened up as each step of the way. And when the woman on the train kissed him, it was a very important transition because it went from a lot of his closed down sensations, and he was able to open up more. And I think that I think what you said in the beginning, this is a very important film because it's not just about the Holocaust. It's about one person who has a mission in life, and it's guided by his past, but it takes you through his life. And
Mhm.
until he is finished, he's not finished. And the suit is the finish.
Mhm.
That's I thought it was more about the movement than it of through his life.
I
Uh,
I think it was about the center of the film. It was a very rich film with a lot of things that we've talked about, and I found that interesting. But I think the center and the reason is that it is one person's way of handling aging. And
Mm.
I think that that's critical.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Mhm.
is. It is. That's interesting observation. But Sandra, he doesn't really finish it. He still has to alter the suit. Remember that. He still has to alter the suit because he doesn't know if it fits.
true.
But anyway, I appreciate everything everybody had to say tonight. It was a wonderful session. I look forward in 2 weeks. We get into a very serious part of this. As I said, we jump back into the Holocaust, but in a very particular way with the zone of interest.
I don't see the
Oh,
film.
that was
I have
That's
to listen
wonderful.
to the
that's
discussion.
Oh,
that's
the
a
vigil.
film. That's a film that has become a classic in its own right already, or will be, because it's about what we don't see, and what people don't know. It's really for people who didn't see and don't have to look beyond the wall to understand what happened. And it takes us into that. An incredible
More opposite
piece
to
of
this
work,
film.
which I'm looking forward to discussing with you.
Nothing wrong. I just said
And that'll be in
everything
two
was great.
weeks. So you've got time to watch it, digest it, and hopefully have something to say then. I hope we have just as rich a discussion then as we had tonight. And I thank you all. This was terrific. Really. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, everybody,
So,
we will see you. Shelley, did you say the date and I missed it? It's
what is it? It's 2 weeks from today.
yeah,
What's
and I
tonight?
even looked that up.
16th, no, 16th to 20,
23rd.
20,
There
23rd.
you go.
Yes.
Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you.
All right, we will
April
see
23rd.
you.
Right. Be well,
Night,
everybody. Thank
everybody.
you. Take care.